Okay, tonight I'm very happy to welcome a great actress and star. We know her from early 90s and Final Destination and many beautiful films. How are you, Amanda?
I'm well. Thank you so much. And thank you for having me today.
It's a pleasure meeting you online here, this
You as
interview.
well. Yeah.
First, I want to ask you because I've seen you were born in a little town in California called Chico. This is correct. And sometimes when I was young, they used to call me Chico, by the way.
They used to call you Chico, meaning little. Yeah, that means
Okay.
little.
Yes. Chiquitico, like in Spanish. Yes.
Yes.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yes. And I want to know about your journey from childhood teen until you went to New York to study acting. What can you tell me?
Well, yeah, as you said, I'm from a small town and Chico, California, Northern California, and I didn't really see myself as an actor, and I didn't do any theater until I was in college. And I had an older brother who was involved in lots of community theater and the local scene. Everyone I knew was doing it, and all the cool people were doing it, in my opinion. And I also kind of followed my brother around. He didn't love
Mhm.
that, but so I got involved with community theater, and then I enrolled at Chico State and did some shows there. And it was a few years before I really decided I wanted to continue. I wanted to continue my training, my education.
Mhm.
Yeah. So
Yes. And you went to New York, I imagine, right? And you
yeah,
said,
so when I graduated from Chico State, I as young actors still do, and they want to go to grad school, I auditioned
yes.
for NYU, and they accept about 20 students a year out
Okay.
of many, like 2000, and I was accepted, and I just thought, well, I better go do this because this sounds like something I'd really enjoy, and so I went to New York in like 1994. I'm
Yes.
95. I moved to New York. Yeah.
Yes. So tell me, after studying, you landed two big screen roles, in Drop Dead Gorgeous and then Final Destination. How this happened to you in your early career?
Well, my drop dead gorgeous story is great. I was in Minneapolis, Minnesota at a beautiful, beautiful regional theater called the Guthrie, and I
Uh-huh.
was doing the importance of being earnest, and I had heard about
Mhm.
this open call for a movie that was shooting there, and I decided that I should go and just
Uh-huh.
show up. And I was they had said specifically you need to come as a character, and I went as um a pageant girl that I believed I needed to be in a pageant, but I pretend I was pregnant. Like, I wasn't pregnant, but I
Mhm.
that was my character that was pregnant, but not acknowledging that she was. And as
Mhm.
the auditions went on and on, I started to realize that they actually thought I was from Minnesota, and they thought I was pregnant, and I got really worried about it. And so I one day, in front of all the producers and all the people, and my first shot, and then I was like, oh, they're gonna be very upset with me. And I pulled all the padding out, and I said, I'm not from Minnesota, I don't talk like this, I'm not pregnant, I'm sorry, please forgive me. I'm just gonna see myself out. And
Mhm.
that's how I got that part. So
Yes.
yeah.
Tell me, when the movie was released, how was your character received? Because I remember it was a big thing at the time,
Yeah,
Like,
I was so things were different back then. So
yes.
I wasn't invited to a premiere. I don't even know if
Mhm.
there was one. I mean, I didn't even know that it had come out. And all I know is that movie has sort
Mhm.
of stood the test of time, as many that I have done, where people still will come up to me. And the favorite movie is usually Final Destination, and I can't tell you how many people are like, Drop Dead Gorgeous. And I barely remember that as even part of the journey, but of course it was. And it's a funny story. And people love that movie. They just, and the character was very funny. I was very nervous. When I shot it, I was so nervous. I got like really bad cotton mouth and I could barely talk. And I thought, oh, this is just going to be horrible. You know, they're going to cut me out of the movie. But alas, I stayed, and I'm remembered as the girl who started vomiting, and everyone else followed. Yeah.
At the time I was working in film distribution in my country, Egypt,
Uh-huh.
film theater, and I worked Fox Warner, then Universal Paramount, and the companies invited each other to premiere. So I remember they invited me to the first Final Destination. We
Oh,
went to
yeah, they
see.
did.
Yes, yes. I went to see it. It was a premiere for the media and also the other companies.
Uh-huh.
We went to see it in cinema. I watched every kind of film before working in film distribution and then television journalism and writing. But I before I tell you my take on the first Final Destination, I
Hmm.
want you to tell me about your how you got cast there. It was right direct after Drop Dead Gorgeous, or how did it happen to you?
It was, I feel like it was a little bit down the road because after I did that movie and the play, I went back to New York and I hadn't yet uh thought of what would happen past, past the Guthrie, past that. I hadn't even entertained the idea that it was gonna happen, that my career would happen. So I said I wanted to go to LA and meet with my LA agents. And they were like,
Yes,
well, it doesn't really work that way. They have to invite you. And I was like, well, I'm going. So I
yes,
hope that they like me. And they did. And immediately I was on going on lots of auditions. And Final Destination, um, the audition was like the few words that I say before I get hit by the bus, and that was it. There was like three lines, and I made it to what I knew was going to be either me or somebody else. I knew that it was getting close, and I had a real shot, and I forgot my lines. I was so nervous. I couldn't say them, and um they were so encouraging. Like they were just like, I think they took me outside and were like, take a deep breath. It's gonna be okay. Don't worry about this. We just need to get you. Can you get the lines out one time clean? And so we can show it to our producers because we want you to have this part. And so that's how that happened.
yes. What I liked about the film when I first see it, maybe I've seen it more than once, and the
Hmm.
that it had a different approach about how death is presented. mm, because usually death is represented, with the giant, skeleton,
Yes,
like
yes,
corn,
yes.
cornfields. Or sometimes I don't know if you have seen some classic European films like The Seven Seal. It's like a man
Oh,
with
oh, I
a black.
remember that movie very
Yeah,
well. Yes.
yeah, so it was maybe an actor presenting it, or maybe some kind of reincarnation, like Death Takes a Holiday and Meet Joe Black, that like Death is personified in a character or an actor playing it in a film, okay? But this
Hmm.
one was, it represented death in a different way, and
Yes.
I think your, the death of your character, it reminded me, of Janet Lee, getting killed in Psycho, like it's a shock, shock
Yeah.
death,
Yeah. Yeah,
something like that.
it was
Mhm.
shocking, and they worked really hard on that death. It was they did things that had never been done before,
Mhm.
and and so of course didn't exactly know how it was all gonna work out and if it was gonna work the way they wanted it to. And we did that take that you see, that shot that you see, that was one take. They did
One
it in
take.
one and it worked. Yeah.
Yes, but beside Final Destination, at the time there was also the release of I Know What You Did Last Summer, the first one, and Scream, the first
Yes.
film.
It
So
was all in there at the same time, wasn't it? It was
yeah,
very, yeah.
I thought it was a new take on the slasher film that we used to see in late 70s, 80s, but
Hmm.
with a new take with Final Destination and Scream and Wes Craven and Kevin Williamson. And I think, the characters, the teen characters in this three films and their sequels, I think the teens were not about cheesy like we used to see them in Friday the 13th. They were smart. They each one has his own plus and minuses. I mean, like three-dimensional characters, including your character as well.
Well, I think that and I read for Kevin Williamson many, many times
Yes.
and spoke with him and I think that was part of the success of that movie is he knew how to make the characters real, and
Yes.
the more real characters are, the more the audience cares about them, and the more they understand their backstory. It's not easy to do that in a
Mhm.
horror film, and I think that the previous, to those films, that it was all about the horror and the slasher and the killing and the blood, and
Mhm.
so not a lot of attention to that other part of it. So
Yes.
they successfully did that, and I think that is what made those franchises what they become franchises, is what I
Yes.
mean. Like, yeah.
Mhm. Yes. I want to ask you, was it a true story that the dummy used in the death scene were used in some special effects school or something not
Oh,
correct?
you heard the story? Yes. So I have told this story, and it's funny because I was shooting a little independent movie,
Yes.
and I this young lady who was part of the makeup team was just
Yes.
staring at me, like her face was right here and she was just staring at me like this way, and I thought maybe I had something on my face, or I
Yes.
wasn't bothered by it. It was a lot, it was very intense, and I finally said, hey, is everything cool? Like, do I have something on my face? And she goes, I am so sorry. She said, I have spent the last 2 years of my education in a classroom, and your dummy from Final
Yes.
Destination is hanging above us, like up in the
Yes.
corner, looking down at all of. And then she goes, I looked at you for 2 years, and I can't believe you're sitting right here. It's so weird.
Really?
So the dummy was, the real deal. They really did that from scratch. I stood for it. I sat for it. I held my arms up with sticks. I had straws in my nose. I mean, it was amazing. And I loved every second of it because the process was just so cool.
Yes. I want to ask you about your favorite film genre because after these couple of films, you co-starred in some comedies, some dramedies like in The Majestic and Saving Silverman and Big Fat Liar. Many films, and each one shows a new aspect of what kind of character you play. How did you excel in different characters? So, what were your favorite genre at the time?
Somebody just asked me this yesterday.
Yes.
I really, truly, I have all enjoyed everything because I wanted to be an actress more than anything. And I wanted to be a good actress, which is why
Yes.
I studied for as long as I did.
Yes.
I found greatness in everything I did. I will say that working with Frank Darabont and Jim Carrey has to go at the top of the list of one of the most amazing experiences of my life. Um, would love to have more of those, but Frank Darabont is an Oscar winning director, and he really wanted me to have the best experience that I could possibly have. So did Jim, and I did. And being on a at the time, $85 million was that's a big movie. And
Mhm.
I used to say, I said, there's nothing like thinking I would like a Diet Coke and it suddenly appears in your hand. It was like that. It was like, somebody would have an umbrella over my head, and it was like it was an amazing experience. And Frank is
Yes.
an amazing director.
I think as well, Jim Carrey is a great dramatic actor. We
He
know him.
is.
Yes,
Yeah.
you work with him in the Majestic. I was in Universal when Truman Show was released. We did the
You
premiere in
were.
here. Yeah,
Wow.
yeah. I love the Truman Show and keep on maybe writing about it or seeing it again and again. And also, Frank Darabont, I adore his films, by the way. He's one of the few directors who, they give us a film, every 5 years or every 4 years. They prepare, I think, a lot on the writing and the directing of their films.
And he directed
Hmm.
all the Freddy Krueger.
Yes,
He originated that character, Robert England's character. That was Frank Darabont. Um
yes. Or
that's where he
with
got
Green.
his start in slashers, the good
Yes,
stuff. And that movie scared the hell out of me um
really.
for a
While
long, long
working
time. And then I became later, and many years later, we had
in one
the
of the
same
slasher
agent,
films.
Robert England, and I. And so the first time I met him, I was a little it was weird because he looked so much like his character. They used his face. Um
Okay. True
yeah.
story. I used to have a friend in the 80s. We were just teens, and his Superman and Batman was Freddy Krueger. This is his hero. And when he used to go, I think London or the States, he used to buy, mask, the mask and also the glove of Freddy. We
Hmm.
used to do
Hmm.
some movies with it when we were teens. Yes.
Oh yeah, I've
So,
held one of those. I've held the one of the ones that he used in the movie, because of course there were many, but I've
yeah.
held it in my hands. Yeah, it was
Hmm.
awesome.
Yes. But tell me about your transition to television afterwards. What can you tell me about it? Your favorite roles in television, because you did many appearance later on.
Well, I've done more pilots than probably anyone that I know. So
Yeah.
I've done, like, I think 27 pilots. So as we know, many of those did not get picked up. Many of
Yes.
them did. And I have some great experiences about shows that went, for 13 episodes or 7 episodes or 9 episodes. I really, truly, it just happened. It was sort of the logical step was, people wanted me to do the first one I did was a sitcom, and the sitcom was such a great transition because it sort of married live audience with
Yes.
theatrical kind of acting. You had to act quick and fast. You had to know how the beats were and how to make it fun and sometimes over the top. And I thoroughly enjoyed that experience. I was just like, this is it. This is what I need to do. I need to do sitcoms.
Yes.
And the show didn't last more than a year.
Yeah.
You never
Yes.
know.
Yes. We have Alicia Class. Can you see her comment on the screen? She's
Oh, I
writing to you
see.
about the Majestic.
Oh, the Majestic. Dear Amanda, were you disappointed? It was very disappointing. But it was mostly disappointing. At the time, I felt mostly sad for Jim and Frank. They
Mhm.
were incredibly devastated. I was going to be working with Jim again and Nicole Kidman on a movie that was gonna happen after that, and Jim pulled out of it, and Frank took some time away. It was very
Yes.
devastating for them.
Yes.
And me
But
too, because it didn't help my career. It didn't hurt it, but it
yeah,
didn't it didn't help it.
yes. But Um, because I used to work in distribution, and sometimes the movie flop, but later it becomes a cult classic, you know. So sometimes, yeah, people until now remember the Majestic, remember maybe also Frank Darabont directed the Shawshank Redemption, and it wasn't a very big
And the
box
Green Mile.
in the
The
Green
Green
Mile.
Mile too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So I think movies, you know, live forever for the new generation, regardless of the box office when they debut. I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, I mean, most of the movies I did, unfortunately, did not do well in the
yeah.
theaters. Final
Mhm,
Destination did, but all the follow-up movies that I did, Saving Silverman,
mhm.
The Majestic was a big disappointment and a huge loss, and Saving Silverman was too. Um,
Yeah.
so I kind of suffered, my career suffered a little bit because of that.
Yes, but tell me recently when you were invited to the new sequel to Final Destination, I saw a lot of nice photos of you on the red carpet, and people start to asking you stuff. You know, can your character come back?
I know. I had that question so many times, and all I have to
Yeah.
say is, please, yes, let her come back. Maybe. Well, I have a great idea that we
Yes,
somehow we didn't we those of us did that movie. We didn't die. That movie was just a dream, and we're all come back. But death is still
yes.
coming for us too. And so you
Why
bring
not?
the whole cast back
Yes, why
because
not?
why not? Why
Yes,
not? They do it all the time. They bring back the
of
dead
course,
all the time, you know?
of course. It
Who's
was
to
a
say
dream,
we're
or another,
reincarnated, our
yeah,
children
or
lived
another
on, I don't
dimension.
know.
Yeah, yeah, another dimension. Who knows?
Yes, exactly. Well, they've
Yes,
presented such interesting movies. I thought Bloodline was fantastic. I honestly have not seen every one of them. I of course saw the second because of
yes,
Ali, and but that was, I thought it was a great movie. I thought it was
yes,
really good. Yeah.
yes, yes. I thought as well last year when it came. Right now, you are co-starring in a new series called The Bay, right?
Oh, yes, I did the
Mhm.
Bay over the summer, last summer. Yeah, I mean
Yeah.
it was a completely different experience than anything I have ever been a part of. And
Yes.
I enjoyed everybody that I worked with very much, but it was a completely
What
different.
what what was your character, Patty, in The Bay? What can you tell us about
Well,
it? Without spoiling the
I
show.
I don't know the show well. I know that I was a replacement for somebody.
Yes,
Um, and I was a mom of sort of a matriarch of a ranching family, who was kind of rough and tumble herself, and not exactly the most attentive and easygoing mom, and pretty hardcore. And
yes,
so I did, like, yeah, we did like 4 episodes, and we'll see. I mean, it was fun. It
mhm,
was fun. It was different.
yes. Right now, because you work film, television, theater, do you have a dream character or a dream topic you would like to portray in the future?
Gosh, that's such a good question. I mean, right now with the way things are, I would just love to work again
Mhm.
in front of the camera. I would love to work. I would probably not be super duper picky. But I've often thought about, the place I am in my life right now, and all the experiences that I've had, and
Yes,
I think, being a mother is the greatest joy and gift that I've ever been given in my life. But I tend to like kind of um darker characters. I think I do that well. As I love comedies, but Charlize Theron and Monster just, blows you away.
yes.
I would want
Hmm.
to do something a little hardcore, because I think there's a side to me is not reflective of the face. I'm a little rough around the edges, so I think I
Yes.
would do well with something with somebody with a darker history.
This is great. Amanda, I want to thank you very much for the live together here on Meeting Venus channel.
Thank
And
you.
I wish you all the best in your upcoming projects. I hope they find a way for you to come back to Final Destination.
Hey, I don't know. I know they're doing another one, and I know they haven't started yet. So
Yes.
let's
Yeah.
hope.
Mhm. Let's hope so. And best wishes. I hope in the next period you land on more characters, that reflect your talents and your experience.
Oh,
And uh, I hope we can invite you again when you have a new release in film on television
that
in the
would be
future.
wonderful. And just thank you so much for having me. I love
Thank
it.
you.
I love when I get to talk about what I do. So
Thank
thank you, and
you.
have a great day, everybody.
Thank you. Take care. Bye bye.
Okay, bye bye.